family. Welcome back to the Explore the Extraordinary podcast. My name is Betty, and today I'm joined by Jay. And Jay is a heart attack survivor, a near-death experiencer, a man of God, and an author. And I'm really grateful for your willingness to come and share your story, Jay. It's an incredible, we've got some pictures that we're going to share too. I'm going to toss it over to you and let you share about your experience.
Thank you much. I'm grateful. Thank you. Of course, as you said, my name is Jay. Leonard, if I did something wrong or I owe you money, my mom called me Leonard. But I grew up on the south side of Chicago in I want to say the late 70s, through the 80s and 90s. I grew up in Inglewood. We had different dynamics going on in Inglewood, contrary to what some may have heard about Inglewood today. But it wasn't as bad as it is today. But I grew up surrounded by family, met my friends when I was in grade school. They're still my friends to this day, and experienced, I want to say, shootouts. My father and my uncles were drug dealers, and we had drug dealers going in and out the house over my grandmother's house while I was staying with my dad when I was younger. I witnessed those things, but it didn't really faze me because I was young. Then when I got to, I want to say almost grade school, my mom, she was about to move us into the projects, but she said she didn't want that environment for us. So my grandmother stepped in and bought us a home like a few blocks away. But yeah, I experienced all these things, all these, some people say trials and tribulations, but one thing that was for certain was that I was always surrounded by love and support. And growing up, I would say that some people like to shy away from the things that they experience, especially it's bad things, because sometimes they don't want to deal with it. And some of them, a lot of people don't learn from those bad experiences, but that was one of the things that I was gifted to learn from. Everything that I went through, everything that I experienced, I absorbed it, I learned from it. And by seeing my dad example, what he was doing, I learned what not to do, what I didn't want to do, But fast forward to the 90s, me and my buddies, we used to have a dance group. Dance group was called Future 3. We did concerts throughout the Midwest. We did the Apollo Theater, Harlem, New York. We did that twice. And shortly after that, I guess everybody started having families, so the group kind of started, I want to say, disbanded a bit. I had my first child, I want to say 97, and the neighborhood was starting to get bad. There was drug dealers going up and down the street, people that we never seen before, and we was there our entire lives. And the mother of my children at the time, she had came up here to Columbus, Ohio to visit her parents who had just moved here. I didn't want to move here because my family and everything I knew was in Chicago. But one day, this is after she came back, she told me that I want to go to Columbus, Ohio. I want to stay there this time. And I was against it at first, but then one day I found like a bag of crack cocaine in a gangway of my home. And we had kids and everything running up and down the street. And I was like the kids could have got to this and everything. I was upset and everything. So I was like, you know what, y'all can have this. I'm gone. So in 2001, 2002, I packed up a Hyundai Accent and moved up here to Columbus, Ohio. Now, when I got here to Columbus, that's when I want to say my trials started to affect me personally. Back then, like I said, in Chicago, they didn't affect me. They wasn't on me per se, things that happened to me, but things that I experienced, that I witnessed. But now that I moved here, it was like, I want to say snowball after snowball after snowball effect. So we moved here in 2001. That same year, I want to say Aaliyah passed away, and it was the Twin Towers, incident. So it was, excuse me, I get choked up because of my TBI and stuff. But because all the things that was going on, it was like, wow, this is crazy. But I still have a family and I have to take care of my family. So I'm in a house with the mother of my children, mom and dad, who didn't really like me. So I was uncomfortable there, and then we had our little spat going on. I moved, we moved across the street the following year, and it seemed like it just kept getting worse. It just started getting bad. Got a call from my dad, I want to say 2000, later on 2002. Well, me and my mother, my children was having disagreement, and he told me my grandmother wasn't doing well. Um, I said, okay, talked to him, hung up, called me back and said she didn't make it. So I didn't give time to grieve. I just like, wow, it was pretty, situation. Went to bury her, came back. And then in 2003, I want to say me and my kid's mom were having disagreement and we broke up that year. I mean, we broke up in 2003. And as soon as we broke up and I went to my room, then I got another call, this time from my cousin, and said that my cousin Vale was killed on the same lawn, which is of my grandmother who had just passed away the following year. So that made me feel bad because when I was up there prior, I told him that I'm gonna come up there and see him because I didn't see him last time. He's gonna be the first one I see. And I never got that chance. So went up there to bury him, came back, started working for Coca-Cola again because I worked for Coca-Cola prior to moving here. And we were still having issues, the deaths and those two deaths in the family. Then I started working for Coca-Cola. And then I want to say 2005, I had to do a checkup. And my checkup, like what they call it, physical. And my physical came out and it showed that I had lupus. So now I got these two deaths in the family and my relationship is on the rocks and now I got lupus. So I just kept working, um, didn't have time to grieve, because there was so much going on. As time went on, I want to say another year go by, then we had another death in the family. And then I got diagnosed after that. I want to say for a couple years ahead, I got diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression. Kept going. Then we had another death that year. Then we had another death that year. Following year, they were just like death after death after death. And again, I just masked it just so I can get through, take care of my family, and not think about those things, even though it kind of hurt me, but just wasn't thinking about it. But I was at the same time, I stayed prayed up and I was like, oh my gosh, when is this going to stop? This is crazy, but I was still harboring that. I want to say not just that strength, but that resilience to keep going, provide for my family. So time went on and I want to say 2011, 2012, found out that I had pulmonary embolism, blood clot in my lung. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was going through the things with the mother of my children because, we had like custodial issues going back and forth court and then a drama. And again, I just kept working. And then I want to say 2015, got a call from my sister, another death. It's like, she said, my uncle was killed by our little brother in my grandmother's kitchen. And it was like, when will this end? I'm like, this is crazy. Just like time after time, it was just enough. But then I want to say prior, I didn't include this, but when I found out that I had lupus in 2012, I'm not lupus, but pulmonary embolism in 2012, someone introduced me to a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi. And I read that book and it started me to want to get involved with meditation. And that meditation is one of the things that also kind of stabilized me, But again, fast forward, uncle passed away, got killed with my little brother, went up there to bury him, came back. And I want to say later on that year, December, I met someone, which I said I wasn't going to meet anyone. I didn't care. I just wanted to provide for my family. I was stressed out. I was losing weight. I had all these sicknesses going on. Um, I didn't eat at times because I had a home that I just bought for my kids, and I had to make a decision if I'm going to pay bills and make sure they eat, and I'll just go without. Give me an apple or something. So that's what I did, barely making it. But started dating somebody in January 2016. And then I want to say the summer of 2016, was having chest pains, and I went back and they said I had angina. I'm like, are you serious? You know, just like, come on now, so I just kept going again. I just kept going until one day, like I said, I worked at Coca-Cola. It was the evening of August 18th, 2016. I came in from work at that evening, and I, was getting comfortable, calling my brother or my best friend in Chicago, and calling my mom and everything in the kitchen. That's why the last place I remember. Then after that, everything was black. I found myself waking up in the hospital probably about a week or so, 2 weeks later. I didn't know what happened. Um, I was hooked up to tubes, and I was just there, and it was in bad shape. Opened my eyes again. The doctors was like, Jay, do you know where you are? Do you know where you are? Of course, I couldn't talk. Um, but I'm just blinking my eyes and just watching them. They said, you're in the hospital. They said, you died. You left us for an entire day, but you're back. You're here. Didn't think anything of it because I was just in a state of just being at that moment. Saw my parents, well, my mom, and then it was just like a glow or aura around her. And it was just, I knew that vision of thing, what I saw was love because I had met it and experienced it while I was on that other side. And they began to tell me some more about it. They said, well, the way it went is that I think they said it was that later that evening, it was like early morning of August 19th. So I want to say maybe 1, 2 in the morning or something like that. They said I drove myself to the hospital, parked my car perfectly. As soon as I went through the emergency room doors, I collapsed and went to cardiac arrest. Cold Blue was called. They came, resuscitated me, and got me to the back and started working on me. And then I coded again. And then they got me back again, stabilized me, put a stent in my heart, and then flew me to Riverside Hospital here in Columbus, where they said that as soon as I got there, I was fighting, but then I coded again. And they got me back and I was fighting. And then they proceeded to call my family, my kids that was here with their mom, and my mom, the family that was in Chicago. And they said someone need to come up here with him. It's not looking good. He's in a bad shape. So my kids, with their mom, since they were here, they got there before. Um, my mom got the call. When she got that call, they was like rushing. She had to get my little brother, see if they can bring him up there. So they rushed up here. And I want to say probably like an hour or hour or something like that later, they called them back and said that I didn't make it, that I passed away. My mom, someone said she had like tunnel vision. She didn't want to hear that. So she proceeded to rush, continue coming up here to Columbus, about 5, 6 hours away. When she got off the elevator, because she got here like that evening, that late afternoon was probably like, late afternoon or so. And when she got there, she got off the elevator, and my children's mom met her and said that he's gone. And my mom said, okay, where's my baby? And she was like, he's gone. He's been gone the entire day. My mom, of course, as you can believe it, she proceeded to like pass out, fall to her knees, crying and everything. The waiting room was full of my, coworkers, my supervisors and everything. And yeah, so they came back to the room, and they saw me still hooked up to tubes. My body has started to swell. I still have cracks in my skin from my swell. My organs had shut down. My liver, kidney, all those things had shut down because I was already gone for the entire day. They had me hooked up to some kind of machine. I don't know what it was, but the machine wasn't to sustain my life because my life was already gone. All they had to do was sign the papers. And my daughter, who was 18, she had to make the decision. She was like, looked at my mom. She said, I don't want to make that decision. She said, I don't want to do it. Held her and started crying. And my mom was like, baby, it's just up to you. And she said, he's still in there. Don't. And the doctors and my mom said, he's gone. There's nothing else to do. He's already gone. She said, no, he's still in there. So they decided to wait another day. Family went to my house, started cleaning out. Since my coworkers was there, they had already been notified of everything. Supervisor called, the insurance to start get everything rolling. They sent a condolences letter to my family, regarding my passing. And like I said, they were just cleaning out the house. But then the next morning, they got a call, which is the 19th. Was it the 19th or the 20th? It was the 19th because I'm 18th. 19th, I passed away. Okay, yeah, it was the 19th because August 17th is when I came in from work that night. And then August 18th, the early morning, like 1, 2-ish or something like that, that happened. Then August 19th, they called my family at my house and they said, hurry back up. We don't know what's going on, but we found a faint pulse. So they were shocked and elated and, just excited and everything. So they came up to the hospital. Doctor said that we don't want to get your hopes up, but even though we found a faint pulse, you only have maybe a 20-something% chance of survival. And if you do, we don't know what his quality of life is going to be because, again, everything had stopped and my brain was out without oxygen for almost a day. So they kept me on. Then they put me medically induced coma for my organs to try to come back to nurse everything back. And while in that coma, then I had 26 strokes. A lot of them was across the top of my head, and some of them was at my brain stem, around the cerebellum. And yeah, they just kept working on, kept getting my body back together. But the ironic thing was that I didn't know that I had passed away. I thought that maybe I was sleeping, and I remember walking down, I was like going down a tunnel. It was like an amber kind of tunnel, and it was like people or something all around the tunnel from all sides, top, bottom, and everything. And they were reaching out, but it wasn't like a malicious thing, but they were almost like reaching out for help or something like that. But as I began to walk down the tunnel, since I got to the end of the tunnel, I just immediately found myself floating or just going down the expressway. And it was just so ironic that the hospital was right there by the expressway, and it was gloomy out and it was dark out. And I passed this like landmark, which is here at the Brewery District on Front Street. I passed it. Remember seeing that. Then all of a sudden I was like directly in space, just like in an instant. While I was there, I looked down. I was just one with everything. I didn't have a body, because the spirit is fluid. It's almost like a water. It takes the form of whatever vessel that it encompasses. So I didn't have a body, but I knew that I existed. I knew that I still existed because I was part of everything, part of the being, just being, as in the Bible, it says that I am. And that's what I was at that moment. I just was part of I am. I was just I am. So I looked down toward the footstool at the bottom, like in front of me, but way in front of me, it was like a planet. It could have been Earth. When I had these podcasts, I always said like it was Earth. It could have been a Earth-like planet, but from that planet, it was like energy protruding from the planet going up in the form of a tree, but energy was like circulating in and out. And some people used to will say that's the magnetic field, but from the pictures and everything, I showed a magnetic field. It's like a field going in, around, in, out like that. But this was coming out like a tree. And the only time it was circulating was through this tree going up and down, in and out the tree. And then I looked to my left and I saw this wormhole. I thought it was a wormhole. It was like a galaxy, stars, I think stars. I was looking at it and I was about to, become part of that, go that way. Then I looked back at the planet. Then I looked back at it. Then I heard my name called. And I looked around. I didn't hear anything, see anything. So I saw the planet again. Then I looked at that stars. And it wasn't until like a few years later, I found out when I was searching the internet and everything, I found out like, that's what I saw. That's exactly what it looked like. And it said it was the Andromeda galaxy. So I was a little shocked by that, but nevertheless, I saw it. So when I regained my consciousness, and I don't know how long I was out before I regained my consciousness after that event situation. But I opened my eyes briefly, and I saw, some of my family members standing beside my bed, my kids at the foot of my bed, and my friend who had just drove up from Chicago, him and his wife, and everybody was there. But yeah, they were at my bed, and it was just so that when everybody heard about everything that happened, everybody was circulating it on social media, putting a picture up of me, sending their condolences. My cousin Marcus in Chicago, he got on social media telling everybody that, yes, I passed away yesterday, I'm telling everybody to pray for my kids and everything. My sister posted some things. My cousin posted some things. So everybody heard about the passing. So it wasn't just a one-off thing. This was something that was, I want to say that most of them just like, he's back after the passing, so a lot of people were shocked, but the journey afterwards, it was, I can't say it, but in the beginning, it was just so, I want to say peaceful. It's morbid, but I say that was the best rest I've ever had in my life. But it was, I felt that peace. I felt no worry, no doubt, no concern or anything. I was just existing until I started, they cut on the television, it was politics. It was around, I want to say almost around election time. And I just started seeing all this hate and everything that's going on in the world. And I started to get sad, from experiencing these things. And then it was just like, wow, what is this? It was just a horrible feeling. When I eventually got discharged a couple of months later, as soon as I walked outside, it was like I had never seen those things before. Everything was like new. The buses, the clouds, trees, everything like I had never seen it before. I had literally been reborn. I had to undergo a lot of surgery, not a lot of surgery, but a lot of therapy because I couldn't walk anymore. I had to relearn how to walk. I had to relearn how to talk, speak, form my sentences, do things around the house, strengthen up my, still work on my body as far as getting it stronger. But yeah, it has been a journey after that incident. I say my life changed forever.
I love your story so much. I really do. I've heard it before
Yeah.
and I could hear it a million more times and never get tired of it because number one, it's incredible. It's incredible. And you are a miracle. You know what I mean? Like you really are. You're a miracle. The fact that you had to relearn all of that. And I think that that's maybe one piece that people forget about. Like you died, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we have these incredible spiritual, some people get to have these incredible spiritual experiences when they face death and
Mhm.
health issues. But there's still the whole human aspect of coming back into your broken body and then
Yes.
having to relearn and do everything again. And I love the way that you just framed it. You said, I was reborn. Instead of
Yes.
thinking like I was damaged, I was completely broken, I was reborn. I love that. And I can kind of feel your feeling of seeing everything with brand new eyes, with those
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
spiritually woken eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. I say it was amazing. I say it was an amazing feeling, to not worry or concern yourself with anything and just be in that moment, just observe. It was. It's like when a newborn child is born, it's like I knew what it was like for a newborn child because when a child is born, they don't know anything of this realm for the most part. And they just observe it and they soak in everything from their parents or people around them, and some things are like foreign to them. And this is how it was exactly for me. And I always say today, this was like 7 years ago, I say that I'm technically a 7-year-old person in the 47-year-old man's body. and I'm still learning this world and the ropes of it, and it is challenging.
Yeah. You know what? I had a really similar experience to what you're saying, like recognizing the fact like everything is newborn, and I'm a 5-year-old child, and I'm in that state of wonder and awe, still like a kindergartner on
Yeah,
a spiritual journey. So yeah, I
yeah,
really identify with that aspect as well. I want to show some of the pictures that you have from your experience. Um, and maybe you can just tell us like what kind of comes up for you when you see these and describe what they are too.
that right there, I would probably say that's me in a hospital bed. That was, I think that was, watch out, baby. I think that, hold on, the little one is messing with things. I think I was gone at that time because I didn't say it. I forgot to mention this, but my little cousin called my mom, and my mom was at the hospital, and he said, Auntie, no, he said, Auntie, he said, Grandma, he said, I just saw Uncle Jay. She was like, what are you talking? What do you mean? She said, I just saw him. He was in a dark room and he was saying, what about my babies? What about my babies? And they started getting goosebumps. And then he said, oh, Uncle Jay said, quit rubbing on his arm. He doesn't like that. And they just start freaking out. It's like, how did he know that we rub on his arm? And on that picture, my mom is rubbing on my arm at that time. So when sometimes people ask, you know, did they see this? Did they know I was there even though they had passed away? And from that, I can honestly say, yes, they still witness everything that is going on for the most part. Now, that is from my cousin, Marcus, and he was telling everyone Facebook post that I had passed away, and to give condolence, and to pray for the family, and how I was like a brother to him, as opposed just a cousin. Yeah. So that was his posting. That right there, I have my address blurted out, but that is the letter of my job. Coca-Cola sent to my parents saying that we were recently notified of the death of your loved one. So that is like people who people who don't people who get those are people who pass away. People who die, and it's in the system. And for me to be gone that long, excuse me, for them to be put it in the system, yeah, that is one of the it's almost most morbid things that I can see. And every time I see that, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I get goosebumps and sometimes I get teary-eyed because I was like, wow, I was actually gone from this plane. But yes, that is a real letter sent to my family. That is one from my sister. And that picture right there is something that everyone that follows me on social media was putting up, family and everything. It's like a memorial of me. Just saying how she feels and how's a big brother and just how was this a lot for. Yeah.
Yeah, the letter from Coca-Cola, when I first heard your story, that was the thing that totally set me off. Not only that, but obviously seeing pictures of you and
Yeah.
it looks as if your body is in a real messed up place. So that to me is beyond. And the amount of time that passed and the fact
Yeah.
that you are sitting here talking to me is, again, it blows my mind because that's
I
a
got
really
goosebumps
long
again.
time. Me too. It's such a long time, and again, you are a miracle. And you've
Don't pray.
come up against so many odds, like, did the doctors say what your recovery would look like or how long it would take or if it would even happen?
Well, when everything happened and they told my parents that uh, my quality of life may be, challenging, they thought I was going to be a vegetable because the state my brain was in. They thought I was going to be a vegetable. So my family, they was kind of surprised and grateful that that didn't happen. And then the recovery process, they didn't give me like a time frame. Well, actually, one of them did. It said that it can take years to even get remotely close to what I was before. They said, but you will never be the same. They said your heart output, you got to work on that cardiac rehab. They said, but you'll never be the same again. They said you had so much extensive damage done to your body, and you're not going to be 100% again. You just work on, continue to, making it through, and that's what I want to say did, but still doing.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit, just to take a moment and talk about some of the spiritual gifts that came, I mean, there's a lot of questions that I want to ask you. I feel like we're going to have to do a part 2 so that we can get into a lot of stuff. Well, okay. Number one, when did you start talking about what happened to you with the spiritual experience? When were you able to articulate that to other people?
I want to say it was, because this happened in August 2016. I want to say it a couple of years after that. I want to say probably 2019 or something like that, because when I started experiencing these things, because when I started experiencing these things, at first I didn't know what to make of them, because sometimes I would see like demons and stuff like that in my grandmother's house, bad spirits and everything in my grandmother's house. I mean, just from being here, but I would dream or vision these things going on in my grandmother's house. And I told my guy about it, my best friend about it, and he was like, wow, and we discussed it. But then as I continue to go on, I start, noticing that I would start to feel like really, really bad. And I wouldn't know what. It was like a sad feeling and confusion. And I would have it for like a week. And then just so happened afterwards, something would happen. And I didn't correlate the two. I just thought that it was just part of my everything that's going on, because I was sick and still sick every day because of it. So I just thought it was just part of it. But then I started to see these things, started to see a pattern. And I want to say this was about 2020. I started to see a pattern, and I was like, okay, let me see if this is what it is. So one day I was meditating, because I still meditate. And I go to a dark room, the closet and everything, and I meditate. And I had this it was like a vision of, I think it was like a train wreck, a train derailment. And then I want to say like maybe later on that week, then I noticed on the news it was a train wreck in Washington that happened. I was like, okay, maybe this is a coincidence, So I just kind of put it to the side. Then I would do my meditation again, and then I would have another one. And again, it was like, it had something to do with that Vegas shooting. And I was like, okay, this is not just that. This is something. But then I was really tired from not feeling well because of these visions and things that I was seeing, because I was already feeling well because of this body. Not feeling well because his body still was and still is healing. So I was, like I said, I'm still sick. And then one day, I want to say this was probably a year and a half ago, something like that. I was sitting in in my room, and I was meditating, and all of a sudden I had this bad feeling, and I was like, I said something is about to happen. It's going to affect everyone. It's going to be a traumatic event. It's going to affect everyone around the world. This is going to be a real traumatic event. And I said something else. I can't remember. I said it, and then it was like a couple of days later, the George Floyd incident happened. And I was like, whoa. It was sad that seen that, but nevertheless, I witnessed it. I mean, I knew something was going to happen. Then I would meditate again, because like I said, meditation is a place where I can go and be away from everything, and where I can commune with the all in all, just be in that moment. The same feeling I had when I was gone. I was meditating again. I told my wife about my meditation. I said I was in the room in that closet meditating. Then I had these visions come across in my meditation. I said it was these soldiers that were going to war. I said they had on green, but it was like a red. They had on green, but like a red stripe or something in their hat. But I said, but it seemed like they were going to war against each other. I said, I just can't put my finger on it. She was like, I don't know. And I think shortly after that, probably later on that year, something like that, it was the Russia and Ukraine war. And Russia has always been known for having that red band in their hat and stuff like that. So that gave me goosebumps. And then I just started putting it on social media sometimes. But with my social media, I was hesitant because some people don't even look at my social media page because of algorithms and stuff. So some people don't even get the message. But it was more situations that happened after that, and I would tell her, pray and ask the creator. I'm like, I'm grateful, but this is a lot for me because I'm already battling this body and trying to feel well. And when I have those visions and everything, I'm sick at the same time. I said, just take it away from me for a little bit. It's just too much. He stopped. And then when I thought I was feeling a little better, and I was like, he gave me that for a reason. All right. So about a couple months later, I said, okay, I'm gonna try it again. Prayed, and then that's when more visions started to come. But then I started to ask myself, I was saying, like, why have these visions if I can't do anything about it? If I like can't warn anyone that there's going to come or help, why have these visions? And I haven't got an answer to that yet. And like I say, I'm still sick. I mean, I still have sick days pretty much often, almost every day. So I just post these things on social media, hopes that somebody would see it, but at the same time, it was like I didn't see what the use for me saying these things were.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that when when I contemplate the infinite and why spiritual things like prophecy or visions happen, I don't think that it's to enact any change for me personally. I think that it's just to know that the script is written and
Mm-hmm.
you're privy to the
Okay.
inside track of the script. The scene is still
Okay.
going to go.
Yeah.
It's not to enact major change. It's just to continue to have that faith, like, okay, everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to be. I saw this. And to us, in our human awareness, we think that it's something terrible and something bad, but on a
Right.
God level, we don't know. There's no way
That
for
was
us to
well
see
put.
it. Yeah, thanks. I have some profound thoughts now. Anyway, I love chatting with you. I really do actually want to do this again because I know that we've got a lot more to cover. But for the sake
Yeah.
of time, I just want to see if there's anything else that you'd like to share to feel more complete about our time together.
Well, everything that, like I said, it was a journey. This whole thing has been a journey for me and everything. And the first, I want to say prior to everything from that incident, August 2016 up to, I'm sorry, 2021, I had insomnia. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't sleep at all. And then when I did fall asleep, I wake right back up. And then when I started getting comfortable with trying to sleep, I found myself waking up really fast because I didn't know if I was deceased. Because last time I thought I was sleeping, I was deceased. So that kind of sometimes scared me a little bit because I'm like, okay, I'm deceased again. But I didn't, so I wouldn't go to sleep. And it's not to say that I'm afraid of death. It's just that I felt like I was here for something that's more than I want to experience, but let his will be done. Um, and then I put two and two together. I was like, okay, at that time, all the way up to that time and such, is that I am aware of my being, of my me, that's inside this temple and everything. And I know where I was before. There was no sense of time, space, and there was no sense of time. It didn't matter. So it kind of made sense because I always said that I was walking with one foot in the spiritual world, one foot in the physical world. And because I had that foot in that spiritual world, everything in the spiritual world don't need rest. It doesn't need sleep. It's infinite. So it only made sense the reason why I couldn't get in sleep. But the physical part, it was very difficult. And it still is because I still have the traumatic brain injury. I still have the lupus. I still have asthma. I have damage, I want to say, on the left side of my body, neuropathy and nerve damage. I can't move my foot on the left side of my body. Because of the brain damage back there, I have vertigo every day. I have it every day. There's no surgery or medicine that can they can take care of it. So I just have to deal with it, and it's exhausting. And because the strokes were in different parts of my brain, because because they can't pinpoint what those parts of his brains it controls, but there's so many dead spots on there. I'm sick every day. Some days are better than others. It's a lot. It's a lot. And then wanting to take care of my family more and realizing that I can't do the things that I used to do, and say just adjusting to this world is very difficult. I don't think I don't know if I can express how difficult it is. And when people see me and I tell them, they say, "Well, you look so good. You don't like you had strokes or heart attack. You look so good." And I'm like, "Well, looks can be deceiving, But it's this one thing in the scriptures that says something about if you're not feeling well, don't put the countenance or that look on your face to let people know that you're not feeling well." And that's what I do. I just keep going. Even if I'm not feeling well, I just keep it going and I don't try not to show it. When I'm in the house, yeah, I'm all over the place, but I just keep doing what I'm doing. It's like nothing I can do about it, but continue praying and still have faith in my creator and keep going, you know, and I'm grateful. I wrote a book, 2018. Um, my post-stroke neurologist was surprised that I wrote one. She said, because all the extensive damage to my brain, she said, "I'm surprised you wrote one." I gave her a copy and she turned the screen around. She said, "Look," she said, "you had a stroke here, 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 here. Turn the page on the screen, here, 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 cluster them here." I was like, "I get it." She said, "Yeah, so I'm surprised." So I wrote the book 2018, 2019. It's called The Second Time Around, a memoir about a life, a death, and a second chance. You have my birth date, original birth date, 1977 to 2018, when it passed away. And then underneath it, it has my reborn date. And then the line is just nothing because I'm still here. So I'm grateful. It's available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. I created a web page, but I originally wanted to create an actual place to help people meditate, learn how to meditate in a setting that would encourage them to meditate. So I started a web page. It's called Daleth. It's www.dalethsanctuary.com. And on this site, I just encourage everyone that has anything to do, any business that's associated with meditation, aromatherapy, or anything to just help people relax and whatnot. I made that site to where people just post their businesses on there, let people know that they exist, that they're out there. It's free to join, and yeah, so it's like the stepping stone to my ultimate goal of actually building a location. So yeah.
Thank you so, so much. And all of your links are going to be in the liner notes of this episode. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
your honesty. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for coming back and sharing. Like coming back to earth. Thank you for coming back here and sharing what you learned. I think that you're an incredible teacher, and I'm always super drawn to listening to you share. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah,
I'm so
thank you
grateful.
so much. We'll see you next time.
Sound like a plan. Take care.